1340 96.5 KVGC on the phone. Douglas Viviani again tonight and tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. He and David Cohen hold down the fort for us here at KVGC with a show called Everything Old is New Again, the show that examines our pop culture, where it came from, why it's still popular. And I tell you what, if these two guys can't put fun back in radio, I don't know who can. Douglas, good morning.
I don't know what that says about the state of radio, but I'll take it. Good morning. I'll tell you, talk about fun. I am anticipating, we've already seen lines, we've seen people clamoring to get tickets, people buying tickets in advance for this huge, I think I'm going to predict the huge blockbuster of Avengers Infinity War. Have you seen what's going on out there?
I've seen the previews, but again, I'm not a Marvel guy. I grew up on DC Comics, and I wasn't a Spider-Man guy. I wasn't, Fantastic Four, none of that stuff. I just didn't. Thor, I didn't get into any of those guys.
Interesting that you're not into it, and that's what a lot of people have said, or said that this is the apex, and it's enough already with these movies for the last 10 years of all the superheroes and all. But the reviews, and from what I've heard, just infinitesimally, there's only a small sample so far, but this movie has a larger scope, a larger issue. It's not just shoot 'em up, so to speak, or fight superheroes. There's larger issues involved, and it supposedly appeals across the board to people that aren't even fans of any of the prior movies, if that makes any sense, because it has all 28, I think, characters that have ever been introduced into the Marvel Universe on the screen in this movie. So it's an amazing, I don't know what you would say, if it's an experiment or not, but to have a movie with so many stars in it, 28 stars, that all of which have had their own movies, whether they've either starred or co-starred in them alone, and not just Marvel, but any movie. So these are movie stars. Almost everybody in Hollywood is in this thing, but it's not just one of these shoot-em-ups. It's supposedly got a great message, and it will appeal to those who've never seen one of these movies before. That's at least the promotion. You tell me. I don't know.
I think that the litmus test, if I can spit that out, litmus test of this would be to take someone like me and say, hey, watch this movie. What do you think? I mean, if it's entertaining, you're going to be entertained. Am I going to become a fan of Marvel? Probably not, because I don't really have time to. I don't have time to keep up with this stuff. I don't know how people can keep up with, especially adults, this whole, who they are and what they do and their whole storyline. And
you know what I just did this week? It's funny you say that. I got a promotional, because I used to subscribe to different comic books, and I got a promotional email from Marvel, 50% off. I subscribed to, I think, 5 titles. They're redoing a bunch of titles from square one, new number ones, almost every one of their title, because they were into like the 600s, and the stories were so intertwined and all that. They want everybody to start all over again. So they're starting again with new writers, new storylines, and so forth for the same characters, starting from scratch, 50% off. And I went ahead and bought a bunch of titles so that they'll be delivered to the house like when I was a kid. And I'll read them, in between breaks. It's totally insanity, isn't it, for a gentleman my age? But I'm going to go for it.
Hey, it keeps you out of trouble, keeps you out of trouble. So you will become, I guess, for better terms, indoctrinated into the new canon of Marvel Comics.
I will at least give it a try, for sure. I'm going to see where they're going with these things. And because they stopped, for one, Fantastic Four has not been published for about 5 years now. So they're starting that brand new. And I don't know. We'll see. Doctor Strange is of interest to me, and he's got a new title and so forth. So I don't know. I'll give it a shot, see what happens. If I get enchanted, I'll just move on, of course. But I just thought it was I don't know, just like a kick, almost one of these things where...
Yeah, it's funny you say that Doctor Strange, because, Teresa, we've come into the, 19th century now. We've discovered Netflix and Hulu, so we can watch all these. And she was watching the latest, or I guess the only, Doctor Strange movie. So I was watching, I was watching it with her, and I have a hard time... my wife and my one son, Jake, can suspend reality and can get into this stuff. My son Joey and JD and I have a hard time. I can, but I have a hard time doing it. If it's something I really like, I can do it. Like Lord of the Rings, I can't get into Lord of the Rings, but I can watch Star Wars or Star Trek or anything like that and release it. But so I guess what I'm getting at is, so did she like Doctor Strange, or did she like the actor that plays?
I think she liked the movie. I really do.
See what I'm saying?
That English accent carries the day, doesn't it?
Because she's a big Cumberbatch fan,
Right.
And so I don't know. And I am, I like him. I liked him in the Sherlock Holmes, on PBS and stuff. But so, do you watch a movie because you really like the story, or you like the actor?
Well, that's a great question. I think movie makers would say we don't care as long as you watch the movie, but they have to cast the right person. Of course, the execution of the story is so incredibly important, and he is a lot of casting they've done really well, I think, in Marvel. But besides Iron Man, to me, Cumberbatch is the perfect casting for Doctor Strange. He also was in Thor Ragnarok, which I did not want to watch, but I got a elliptical machine that took me about 3 hours to put together down the basement. So I threw the movie in for, all right, whatever, to keep me company. And it was actually very good, and Doctor Strange was in it for about 10 minutes. And he has this presence on the screen. His character is tongue-in-cheek. They don't take it so seriously all the time. So he does put a smile on your face, although he's serious, but he'll say some things that are, kind of funny. And I think that's the difference. Marvel puts a smile on your face in some ways.
Yeah.
Spider-Man will have some wisecracks, and so will Iron Man, and they'll play with it and have some fun with it. Although there is action, but it's not just action orientated. So yeah, you do it to suspend your disbelief. But I think Doctor Strange is going to take off. I think Ant-Man and Wasp this summer is going to take off too, with Paul Rudd, another one. You get a comedian to play the main character, so he has the sensibility to be a little tongue-in-cheek, and I think that's the success of this. Maybe it's what you don't like, maybe. I'm not just guessing.
Well, look at the success of, and I say that Batman, okay? How many Batmans have there been? And now we've got Ben Affleck, who I understand doesn't want to be Batman anymore.
Right.
How many people can play Batman, and everybody still likes it and goes and watches it, and it's, So
that's true, but Batman wears a mask half the time.
Yeah, that's true.
and he's iconic. But that is, I don't know. The difference between DC and Marvel too is that DC, as you like, I think it sounds like, is a little more grounded in reality, even though it's not completely, of course. But they try to make it more, if you want to call it that, realistic and gritty. And Marvel's really still a true definition of a comic book on screen, I think. I don't know. And I was thinking, is this a movie? Do I take Angelica to see a 9-year-old? Will she follow all this and enjoy it instead of reading the comics? Or she hasn't read the comics yet? Like, we've loved it because we love the comics.
Yeah. Now,
she has no background in the comics. What do you think?
Well, you were 9 years old or 10 years old when you started reading the comics. So would you rather subject your child to sex or violence? No, seriously. What would you rather?
It would have to be a romantic relationship. I would rather have her see that.
Okay. Moving right along here. But seriously, I mean, a 9-year-old, I probably. Why not? I would have taken my sons to see it when they were 9 years old.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. I think maybe this weekend, no, because it's going to be a mob scene. But the following weekend, possibly.
Yeah.
And she has a little, a friend of hers and her dad that want to go see it. So it seems to be. Yeah. Okay, we'll see.
You gonna have a little father-daughter outing there with the other couple too?
Yeah, I think so. What the heck, That's what you do as a dad too. Now you make new friends with the friends of your daughter until they have a fight, and then you're now stuck with a new friend, and your daughters don't talk to each other. Right? I don't think that hasn't happened.
Yeah, there was an episode of this last week of The Big Bang Theory, and one of the characters, Amy, that's getting married, picked out this hideous wedding dress. Well, Penny and Bernadette, her two friends, had said, we got to tell her this is bad. And so they're in her apartment. And did you see the episode? Did you see it
No.
by chance? Okay, so they're in the episode. You know the characters I'm talking about,
Sure.
right? So they're in Amy's apartment, and Penny says, we want to tell you something, Amy, about your dress. Oh, I love it. Do you love it? She's going, we've talked about it, and we both, and as Penny says, hate it. Bernadette says, we love it. So it's at the same time, and Penny looks at her, and then, the next scene is they're out in the hall, and she goes, I thought we were going to take a united front against this. And then Bernadette goes, is this the first day you've ever been a girl? And then stares.
It's what happens. They fight and they get back together. They fight and get back together, and there's always drama. It's inbred. I hate to say it. That's I don't know if that's.
Be careful where you're treading here, buddy. Be careful where you're treading.
I don't want to go down that road.
Let's just move along. So
that's what I've seen. Speaking of moving along, the thing is, all right. So now we're in the movies, but that's a couple of hours. It is time to get the kids and all of us, at least in the East Coast. We have like these seasons and winter and all that. So finally, spring is here, and it's time to get out and about and do things. I've signed Leo and Angelica up for softball and baseball, and they've played a little bit around the house here, but especially Leo's a little young, but I think it's time to start. But I started both of them in sports like when they were 3 years old, and it was a real mistake because they weren't into it. They didn't know what the game was. They were intimidated.
Sure.
They in a field with a bunch of kids they didn't know, and just was a different world than mine when I was younger. So you were a coach. I just want to dive into this a little bit. What would you suggest a dad do to ensure that the kids at least give these sports a fair shake, as opposed to right off the bat just saying, no, I don't want to do it because of all the intimidation factor or whatever it might be that turns them off.
Let them don't push them, don't force them. They don't want to play. Okay,
right?
Don't play. Honestly, that's always been my theory, and I've even told parents before. I've called. We used to, we would go to football camp, and up in Tahoe, and I called one parent and said, "Hey, look, your kid doesn't want to play. Don't force him to play. He's sitting in his tent all day long. Just come and get him." And so, my philosophy with my boys and with anybody else is, if they want to play, when the time is right, they'll know. Don't force them.
That's interesting. You mentioned that because when I was a kid, and I don't know if this is a part of it, but we've said this before. I would be 10, let's say, from 10 to even earlier, from 8 years old on. My parents on a Saturday, you got the Saturday morning cartoons, and it's, let's say 12 o'clock. Get out of the house. I'll see you at 5. Yeah. We'd ride our bicycles with our buddies to get house to house to pick the kids up, so to speak. And as a gang, you'd go down to the ballpark and you'd play baseball for 5 hours. Maybe take a break for lunch, But and in summertime, you do that every day. And so by the time, the skill level that I had at 8, 10 years old for baseball and even football, from what I see compared to what's on the field now, at least out here, is head and shoulders above now, because the kids now, if they're on the baseball field, it's with dad or mom behind them in an organized activity, and I'm not putting that down, but that's exclusively now what it is. Kids are not doing it on their own at all. So my love of baseball came from my buddies, and we were getting together and doing all of it together and having fun with it and talking about it and goofing around and just enjoying the sport. Now you don't do that anymore. It's almost a project because the kid feels, all right, I'm going, but I've got to go with mom and dad, and everyone's looking over my shoulder, and it's organized, and there's dads involved everywhere, and moms, and you know what I mean? Is the supervision, and does it take the fun out of the sport?
There's two. I have two answers to that. There's a term that's used in all sports. It's called Little League parent. Okay, and that's a term used for parents that are living through their kids. Okay. Right. And are screaming at the umpire, screaming at the other coach, screaming at the kids. Hey, these kids they're from everybody, from the kids to the coaches to the umpires. They're not professionals, know. And if you came to watch a professional sport, sorry, you're in the wrong place because these guys are amateurs from the coach to the players, again, to the officials. The next thing is, when you were a kid, you would go out and you and your buddies, one of you would be Willie Mays, the other one would be Juan Marichal, Willie McCovey would be there on first base. I'm just going way back to the Giants days, and you'd be playing, you would be your hero, and you'd be playing the game, and you were the Mets against the Yankees or whoever.
Right.
Now, I don't know who the hell's on the Giants. I tried to watch the Giants the other night, and I'm like, okay, I remember this guy from last year and this guy, but who's this new guy? And who's that guy? We would
go out and play ball, and we would know so much about the different individual athletes that we would, even from the All-Star games, with no internet in the day, but we would know them, and we would be able to imitate their batting stance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about what minutia you need to really follow the sport.
Yeah.
To be really into it, for not only for one kid to do it and the other one to say, no, it's not like that, it's like this, or even laugh at when the kid gets it right and so forth.
All right, Douglas, we have 2 minutes. No, we have 2 minutes left. So first question is, do we let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no? Quick answer.
Absolutely, one of the best players I've ever seen.
Okay, we're going to let him in. The next question is, what's on tonight's show?
Well, tonight we bring it back. Speaking of fun and having when we were kids, Dr. Richard Richter is a friend of mine from all those years ago, and we've just been talking about. But he's back, and we're going to dive into the second evaluation of the 41-year-old juggernaut, Star Wars, the 52-year-old franchise that doesn't go away, Star Trek. And Star Wars is the first one. Did I say that right? I don't know.
Yeah. You said.
This week we continue to search for the answer. Why are these franchises still around? What's the fascination with these series? What's the future? Is it something to do with the philosophy of either? Does it something to do with how they deal with the depth of their characters, their mirror universe? What is it yet to come to these franchises? How many stories are left to tell, or are there any stories left to tell? We're going to dive into all that and have some fun with Dr. Rich Richter.
Is that a cat in the background?
It is. It's a pain in the neck.
Is it hungry or something?
I fed him like 2 cans already, and he's still looking for more.
I can hear it go, meow, meow, meow.
Worse than Leo.
So I think you and I talked about this the last time. So is Star Wars today your Star Wars, or is this Leo's Star Wars?
That's it. It's not my Star Wars, that's for sure.
Yeah,
It's what they've done with these characters, the older characters. They have, in my perception, no reverence for the old characters. They've completed those old characters' stories, let's say, in a way that is inconsistent, I think, with the themes of Star Wars, and almost wasted all this 40 years of Star Wars canon, and just, if it makes any sense, I'm trying not to ruin it, but they did not do with these characters what I thought they would do to have a nice payoff for them.
One last word here. I read on Thursday, or was it on Friday? Was it yesterday, or was it Thursday? That Gotham is on the bubble. It may not be renewed.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and I think it's
one
like
of the best shows around.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. So. But I'll tell you why, and I'm not going to shed a tear, because I have tried for the longest time to get someone from that show on Everything Old is New Again, and they just don't even respond. So I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, you've got to promote your show. Do you see any of those characters on any talk show anywhere around promoting the show?
No, I saw them at a little clip at Comic-Con a year or two ago, and that was it. So
that's all they do. I had a couple clips from Comic-Con on the show. That's it. They will not do interviews. So you know what? If you're not going to promote your show, especially on Everything Old is New Again, forget it.
That's right. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Remember when Eddie Murphy would play Gumby on Saturday Night Live? I'll make sure you never work in this town again.
Exactly.
I'll ruin your... So anyway, tonight at 6 o'clock, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, Everything Old is New Again. Douglas Viviani and David Cohen making radio fun again. Douglas, you guys need to get some of those hats, making radio fun again. Like the Make America Great hats.
The right color.
There we go.
Pink is going to be white. What color?
Have a great show tonight.